So we've been talking about reducing your cost of your rich lifestyle and mastering the spending game. So what I want to talk about is what will make you actually truly happy. Financial mentor Todd Dressler recommends that you add up the cost of all the unnecessary stuff you've been spending money on and compare it with the amount that you could be spending money for that. Either building a rainy day fund, enjoying a rich and rewarding life experiences, or paying for things that are more critical to your happiness. Wouldn't an exotic vacation, a virtual assistant, interesting education, or personal growth opportunities, or the ability to pursue global charities make a more enjoyable life and inspire you to achieve greater financial success all throughout? David Bach, best-selling author of Start Late, Finish Rich, calls this prudent strategy the latte factor. And you know what's coming, eh? The idea that if you eliminate such a small unnecessary daily expense, such as a £2.50 or £3 latte in the morning or a gourmet coffee shop, buying lunch every day, or hitting the mall with retail therapy, you could redirect that savings into investments that would help you achieve your financial goals. While these purchases might seem so small, it always surprises people how quickly they add up to substantial savings throughout the year. When you think about it, if you're spending £5 a day on items, and it's just 5 days a week, you're £25 a week, and then multiply that by 50, which is 50 weeks of the year. Then you're £25, you're 250, you're 5 times 250. That's over £1,000 to spend £5 a day, 5 days a week. What else could you spend £1,000 on that's more important? Today around the world, student loans have yet to be repaid, and if you add up the total debt and student loans and the credit card debt, it's actually more. So student loans outweigh the amount of credit card debt that's available now. Nearly $1 trillion in America, actually, for tuition, book, living expenses have to be paid back. Yet some students graduate with tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt, hampering their ability to buy a house, to get married, to start a family, to travel, even pursue the career they actually loved in the first place, because they're faced with moving back home, curtailing their future plans, and taking whichever job actually pays most, even if it's not what they studied for in the first place. I've known many people actually to work at the local factory, because the local factory here actually pays a lot more when you start off in the beginning of your career. But because people face and hamper so much debt and they want so many things right now in our microwave society, ping, I want it now, it actually hampers their ability to get moving on later on. They don't understand the concept of actually investing now to reward themselves in the future. And taking that less paid job to get the experience to jump that career ladder instead of just starting in the factory and just working there for the rest of your life at that set wage. Not only that, but experts suggest that the ease of taking a student loan can actually cause universities to actually inflate their fees and inflate the costs, knowing that the students will be met through the borrowing and even through landlords and other organisations as well. And most lenders will tell you that a substantial proportion of the student loan money is spent on lifestyle expenses, rent and other day-to-day expenses that don't necessarily contribute to the student's actual education. But before you say it, without a student loan, I can't go to college, ask yourself whether you really need that loan or need one that is quite so large. Can you go to community college for the first 2 years and live at home and cut costs? My boys did. They went to Fife College instead of going to university, saved themselves an absolute fortune. Still came out with their education and their awards. Can you live inexpensively in the dorms versus renting and furnishing an apartment or a house? Can you become an excellent candidate for a merit-based scholarship or doing internships in your field, become active in industry groups, create a substantial resume and curriculum vitae? Then researching less well-publicised scholarships available through the private family foundations. You know, there's Tillis Russell, the Russell Foundation. They actually give awards and scholarships. There's other organisations as well that do that. Graduating with as little debt as possible should be the goal for every college student and university student. So take the steps now to become debt-free. We'll talk about 5 top tips to do that right now. Another big part of mastering the spending game is to simply get out of debt. Stop paying the high credit card interest rates and assume the less consumeristic lifestyle. It's amazing that as a population we've amassed so much personal debt that we can as we can. Credit card, mortgage, auto payments for cars, staggering for many people. Savings and financial security suffer. If this is your situation, take the steps now to actually start living the life debt-free using these strategies that we're going to talk about. So the first one is stop borrowing money. It's no, for some people, it is a habitual habit, but you need to stop borrowing money. As simple as it may sound, borrowing money is one of the main reasons why people don't get out of debt. While they're paying down existing debt, they still use their credit cards, take out new loans, and so on and so forth. This is madness. Well, why? Because the cost of borrowing is actually more staggering than people know. The numbers, we'll talk about the numbers. Let's look at the numbers here. If you wouldn't pay £13,346 for an item that you've just borrowed for £10,000, think about this. If you borrow £10,000 and you have an interest rate of 10%, now the interest rates are actually lower than now, but this is just an example, and it's financed over 60 months, well, the total interest paid would actually be £3,346.67. That's 33.5% of the loan in the first place. If you wouldn't pay £13,346 for an item you just borrowed for £10,000, find a way to pay cash for it, or purchase a similar item for less money, or even decide whether you really need the item at all. One of the things I stay away from now is impulse buys. If I think I'm about to buy something, I think, okay, I'll wait till tomorrow. If I still really want it, I'll buy it. And if I don't want it, I'll forget all about it. And 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, I forget all about it. I don't need it. It's an impulse buy. So it's a good way of doing that. Just wait till the next day. Next one is don't get home equity loan to pay off your credit card debt. I've seen it loads and loads of times when people consolidate all their monthly payments at a lower loan rate, they actually make the situation worse. They actually borrow on their house in order to pay off their credit card debt, but they don't realise that the simple situation is they're in that position in the first place because of their habits and their spending, and the same thing will happen over again. So you'll get what you got because you'll always do what you always got. That's really what it comes down to. The next one is pay off the smaller debts first. When you pay off your smaller debts first, you achieve major success to financial breakthrough, even if it doesn't seem that way in the beginning. For the one thing, you experience a huge boost in your self-esteem, because you've accomplished your goal. So why not start with the smallest goal that's the easiest to achieve to get you on track? The next one, we've got to slowly increase your debt payments. Once you've paid off the smaller debt, take that monthly payment from the smaller debt and put it to other ones as well to increase. For example, if you're paying £300 a month on your credit card to reduce your balance to zero, take the same £300 a month and add it to the amount you would normally make on your car loan next or your mortgage next. This saves you thousands of pounds in interest when paying off the loans early, because it keeps you from expanding your lifestyle that is the £300 a month. The final one here is key. Pay off your home mortgage and credit cards early. Many mortgage lenders often call this the bi-weekly mortgage. It means that pay half of your mortgage monthly mortgage every other week instead of making one big payment at the beginning of the month. We recognise it as you get a 10% allowance. So you get a 10% allowance every year to pay down on a fixed rate loan that you've got a deal with your mortgage provider. Take the opportunity to pay some of that debt off. Did you realise that you could pay off your mortgage about 7 or 8 years earlier as a result of that? And then what would you do with these monthly payments after that? I mean, how much are you paying now on your monthly mortgage? Think about that. And then think about, imagine if you had that free gratis for 8 or 9 years in years to come. And you'd have that all in your pocket. You'd never need to pay it to your mortgage anymore. And that's what it does with paying your mortgage down earlier. So when you get a salary increase or anything like that, put it towards paying off your debt if you have debt. It is not, you shouldn't think it is acceptable to have a credit card debt all the time and just leave it there all the time. That's not what you should do. That's how you stay in poverty for the rest of your life, and you never get out of debt. And you never go anywhere as a result, and you don't have the opportunities to do that one-off holiday you always wanted and pay cash for it. So the power of focus is probably the final thing I'll talk about. As you commit to becoming debt-free and saving more, you'll encounter almost miraculous force working in your life. As you change your focus from spending and consuming to enjoying things that you already have and putting money aside, you progress at an almost unexplainable rate. Even if you don't believe you'll survive every month, once you commit to a debt reduction and savings plan, you'll be surprised at your ability to manage and arrive at your goal faster than you'd actually planned out the process. You may go through a profound transformation. You see your values and priorities change. Suddenly you'll measure your success in terms of debts paid off rather than goods purchased. Most people buy things that they don't want to please people they don't like. So, do you really need that? Would you rather just pay off your debts? I certainly would. As your investment portfolio grows, you'll begin to weigh all the purchases against your goal and be financially secure and debt-free in the process, regardless of where you are in life. Even if you're in what appears to be a hopeless situation, stay the course and allow the miracle to accelerate your goal. It will happen, and it does happen because I've done it. And I'll see you tomorrow.